point. If you are free to tell me this, you're free to run your television channel and they can report the way they want to report.
This is going to go on BBC in London, right? If it was going to be aired here, I'll have my lawyers see what's going on and see if we can do it according to the law and where can it be said.
There are opposition parties able to function here. There are your own news networks and others that have an independent voice in Venezuela. And this is not a one-party dictatorship.
It is not a one-party dictatorship. And we do work even though we're threatened by certain laws, even though our people are attacked by government people that are pro-government. But I mean attacked, really. And this station has been attacked by groups that belong to, are sponsored by the government. But all these people are very, very brave and they believe in what they're fighting for.
Do you feel responsible for the safety of all of the people around us now in this newsroom?
I do.
It's a burden. How do you guarantee to them that they are going to be safe?
I cannot guarantee it. I try to have the most security we have, and we have the best people that can defend them, and we try to find all the resources that we can. But we are all fighting for one simple reason. We want a Venezuela where everybody can live and everybody can work and everybody can try and raise the standard of living, and they can take their kids to school and have them grow into better Venezuelans tomorrow.
And I dare say that Mr. Chavez would say those are precisely the principles that he believes in and that he is fighting for with his socialism.
No, he fights for his principles and we fight for our principles, which are not the same.
Well, maybe that's because you don't like socialism, even if the people have voted for it.
I believe in helping people. I believe in having social conscience. The socialism that Chavez is looking for is just a way to manufacture poor people.
And do you believe, and this perhaps is the key question, that if in the legislative elections this year, and looking ahead to the presidential election in 2012, if the people turn against the Socialist Party and Hugo Chavez, do you believe he will let that stand?
I think it's very difficult for Chavez to just give up his government democratically. I don't think he has that attitude because he's a military man and he believes in fighting for whatever he has with the resources he has. And he has a lot of resources. But at the same time, there's 27 million Venezuelans.
Guillermo Zuaga, we have to leave it there, but thank you for being on Hard Talk.
Thank you for being worried about it.
President Chavez doesn't give many interviews to the Western media. He prefers to deliver his message direct to his own people, sometimes for hours on end. But with Oliver Stone encouraging him to get his message out to the West, Hard Talk was invited into the presidential palace. President Hugo Chavez, welcome to Hard Talk.
Bienvenido tú aquí a Casa Fuerte.
Gracias, thank you very much. I want to begin by asking you about the Venezuelan economy. You have a serious problem with inflation. You have a currency that has been devalued and your country is still in recession. Is it fair to say that socialism right now is not working?
Yo creo que más problemas tienen en Inglaterra y en España y en toda Europa. Hay un desastre. Más problemas tienen en Estados Unidos que aquí. Aquí tenemos nosotros un crecimiento económico en los últimos 6 años de 7,8% del Producto Interno Bruto, para darte un ejemplo.
Yeah, you had growth, but now you do not have growth. In fact, you're the only Latin American country which this year, as well as last year, is not growing at all, is in recession.
Bien, producto de la crisis mundial, gracias a Estados Unidos y su política irresponsable, gracias al capitalismo global y todo el desastre de la banca mundial y del capitalismo voraz, eso nos golpeó a todos. Y nosotros, que somos un país todavía dependiente en mucho del precio del petróleo, el año pasado se vino abajo, se desplomó y eso nos ha impactado duro. Tuvimos que recortar la producción petrolera en 300.000, casi 400.000 barriles diarios. ¿Qué crees tú que no nos va a impactar esto? Sin embargo, Venezuela va a seguir creciendo, vamos a recuperar la senda del desarrollo integral, que no el capitalismo. No, el capitalismo destroza el mundo, Este es un proyecto socialista que se perfila, en primer lugar, a satisfacer las necesidades del pueblo. Te voy a decir algo. Aquí, por ejemplo, el desempleo.
But if you tell me that socialism is still working, I say to you that it's not me you have to convince, it's your own people. I'll just tell you one story. Yesterday I went up to one of the shanty towns in Petare. I spoke to a woman who was a natural supporter of yours, but she said to me, she said, my son, who's now 25, he went through university, and thanks to President Chavez for that, but now he cannot get a job. And that is why she and her son are now doubting this socialist revolution.
Bueno, tú me podrás hablar de alguna cosa puntual. Yo te hablo de lo estratégico y de los números globales. Hace 11 años llegué aquí, el desempleo estaba en casi 20%. Hoy está en menos de 8%. La pobreza en Venezuela hace 15 años estaba en 70%, la hemos bajado a 23%, la pobreza extrema estaba en 25%, hoy está en 5%, el desempleo en Venezuela no ha caído, sigue generándose empleo, estamos invirtiendo, te voy a decir algo, en estos 10 años nosotros hemos quintuplicado la inversión social en Venezuela. Esas son las cifras que tú las puedes verificar si quieres, más allá de una cosa puntual que tú puedas traer aquí.
You have a lot of figures, but one figure I put to you is that in the last big electoral test, which was the municipal elections of 2008, you and the socialists suffered some real losses, including losing the mayor's office in Caracas itself.
No, que una gran victoria. Yo fui reelecto con más del 63% de los votos hace apenas 3 años, levantando las banderas del socialismo. Nosotros tenemos aquí 11 años. Yo he ganado 11 elecciones en 11 años. Y todas con las banderas del socialismo. ¿A qué derrota tú te refieres? Tú estarás hablando de la oposición, tú estarás hablando de la contrarrevolución, tú estarás hablando del capitalismo, que es el que va en declive. Nosotros estamos comenzando a construir un gran proyecto socialista aquí.
President Chavez has been in power for 11 years. He says he needs at least a decade more to cement his revolution. Whether he gets it depends on the Venezuelan people. They will judge how his rhetoric matches up to reality.
A full and exclusive Hard Talk interview with President Hugo Chavez of Venezuela will be broadcast at the same time tomorrow here on BBC World News.
Y cruza la lejanía un canto de alcaraván.
200 years ago, Venezuela's Declaration of Independence unleashed the start of Latin America's freedom from colonial rule. Now the country is celebrating the date, but it's controversial. The hero of that period is the great liberator Simon Bolivar, a national icon. But his legendary status has been hijacked by Hugo Chavez, with some saying the Venezuelan leader has expropriated Bolivar to legitimize his own socialist reforms. From Caracas, the BBC's Will Grant has the story.
Simón Bolívar is everywhere in Venezuela. The great liberator, as he is known, is worshipped in the oil-rich nation, and Hugo Chavez is one of his most ardent followers. The socialist president often gives a replica of Bolivar's sword to distinguished guests, and recently expropriated a building said to be Bolivar's former home. Mr. Chavez often refers to the independence struggle of El Libertador and makes overt comparisons to his own self-styled Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela. There is a direct link, he says, between the two. The Plaza Bolivar in Caracas is a Chavez stronghold, and many of the passers-by agree with the president.
The circumstances are different, it's another age, but it's the same, it's about independence, not this time from the Spanish, but we've now overcome the imperialism of the United States, of companies.
Others disagree. At the Simón Bolivar University, there is an institute dedicated to the study of Venezuelan history. Its director believes Mr. Chavez is manipulating the memory of Bolivar for political ends.
Bolivar was, for the Bolivarian people, a symbol of unity for the nation. Today, Bolivar has been politicized and become a symbol of division. Nowadays, one cannot be considered Bolivarian unless you're with Chavez and his government, and it wasn't like that in the past.
The children at the Simón Bolívar bilingual school in Caracas are putting the final touches to their Independence Day pageant. As the Spanish colonial rulers are ordered from Venezuela, the teachers watch from the wings, careful to ensure that their classrooms remain free from national politics.
We try to put that away. Here in our school, we teach the topics and the subjects as they are, and without influences, and just the history, what happened at that time.
Beyond the comparisons between Simón Bolívar and the current political process in Venezuela, the bicentenary is a chance for many young Venezuelans to simply celebrate a common history among many Latin American countries.
Bolívar Libertador.
Rehearsals are underway in Venezuela for the celebration of the beginning of the end of colonial rule in Latin America. Not all Venezuelans may see a link between the 19th century and Mr. Chavez's particular brand of 21st century socialism, but the government believes the connection is real and will continue to use the image of El Libertador to reinforce the Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela. Will Grant, BBC News, Caracas.
Leaders from South America and Africa are on the tiny Venezuelan island of Margarita for the second South America-Africa summit. The inter-regional gathering aims to strengthen and expand economic and political ties between the two countries. These are live pictures coming into us. That is, of course, the host, the Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. You just saw the Brazilian President Lula Ignacio da Silva. Others in attendance include the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, as well as two Latin American presidents who could be said to be more allied to Chavez than the United States. They're Evo Morales of Bolivia, the Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa. Well, let's go live to Margarita Island. Our correspondent Will Grant is there. Will, I suppose it's no coincidence at all that this gathering comes the day after Barack Obama hosted the G20 summit in Pittsburgh. Chavez trying to send a message, no doubt?
I think he probably is, yes. I mean, it's going to make quite a family photo of this summit. As you've mentioned, some of the figures who have made it to Margarita, in amongst them as well, Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe. And so this really is going to be, from Mr. Chavez's point of view, a south-south summit, something between Africa and Latin America. An effort from his point of view to not look towards the north always. He quoted the Mario Benedetti poem, "The South also exists," and I think that has become almost the slogan of this summit.
Hugo Chavez is a great populist in Latin America. He's supported many other left-wing governments on that continent. How popular is he with, well, let's term it, generally, the South?
It's a good question. I think in Africa he is actually quite popular. I don't know necessarily with which African leaders he goes down very well with and which they've got more doubts. I was speaking to somebody from the South African delegation here, and they were very reserved, and they were also making noises, positive noises about Lula, so that clearly they're a bit more pragmatic perhaps than wanting to be seen to be too closely allied with Mr. Chavez. But I think at a sort of citizen level, I think a lot of African countries find Mr. Chavez very refreshing, and of course there's energy involved in all this. So a lot of African nations are looking to him as an important energy partner, an important market, and an important backer of their situations, their domestic situations.
Well, Grant, thank you very much indeed. Just seeing pictures of the Argentine President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner as well at the continuing summit between South America and Africa. The leaders of Libya and Venezuela have called on fellow heads of state from Africa and Latin America to create a new strategic alliance between their regions. Speaking at an intercontinental summit on the Venezuelan island of Margarita, Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi said he was in favour of a military-style pact, calling it a NATO of the South. Will Grant reports on the opening day of the conference.
This was Mr. Chavez's alternative to the G20. Shortly after the leaders of the world's richest countries gathered in Pittsburgh, the leaders of some of the poorest came here to Venezuela. More than 50 heads of state and government met at the popular beach resort of Margarita in what is only the second such meeting of South American and African nations.
I cannot guarantee it. I try to have the most security we have, and we have the best people that can defend them, and we try to find all the resources that we can. But we are all fighting for one simple reason. We want a Venezuela where everybody can live and everybody can work and everybody can try by certain laws, even though our people are attacked by government people that are pro-government. But I mean attacked. They really, and this station has been attacked by groups that belong to, are sponsored by the government.
Are opposition parties able to function here? There are your own news networks and others that have an independent voice in Venezuela, and this is not a one-party dictatorship.
It is not a one-party dictatorship, and we do work even though we're threatened by government, but all these people are very, very brave, and they believe in what they're fighting for.
Do you feel responsible for the safety of all of the people around us now in this newsroom?
I do.
It's a burden. How do you guarantee to them that they are going to be safe? If you are free to tell me this, you're free to run your television channel and they can report the way they want to report.
This is going to go on BBC in London, right? If it was going to be aired here, I'll have my lawyers see what's going on and see if we can do it according to the law and where can it be said.
There